Hey guys, I've got another quick one for you here today, and this one is actually a follow-up to the video that I uploaded a couple of days ago called the Alternative Campaign Movement Mod Hertz Dynamic Movement Range. And first things first, I want to give full credit to DM Dungeon Mastery, who left a comment who said, I would like to recommend there's also another mod author that has made a more harsh implementation of this mod too that might be more your style, GFI. Brogus Harsh Dynamic Movement Range on the workshop. If you bring a full stack of nothing but artillery, it can go up to minus 50%. He has a more harsh version of this as well on their page. So let's talk about that one for a second, because I went ahead and immediately started testing this as soon as I saw that comment. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about this one, because one of the observations that I made in the previous video was, if you feel like the minus 50% campaign army movement range mod is too much for you, but the Hertz dynamic movement range is not quite enough for you, well, this one does provide a little bit more of a happy medium. So let's talk about this for a second. It's a relatively new mod here. The description's really short and sweet. A working updated version of Hertz dynamic movement range, but with harsher values to immerse yourself in those slow artillery and fast cavalry based armies. Made for myself mostly. And he does go into a little bit more detail here on his calculation as opposed to what Hertz did. But the thing that's really useful here in the picture that he provides on this mod is you can see the very, very smallest army goes, which is an army weight of 2. That's what your general, just by himself, provides an army weight of 2. That will give you a campaign movement range of 11%, but then when you start adding more units to it, then of course it begins to, the weight adds up, and you end up with, at army weight 9, you end up with 0 campaign movement range. And then if you end up filling up with an entire 20 stack of nothing but artillery, which, obviously not likely to happen. So this is, theoretically the worst that can possibly happen in terms of a debuff. That is the same effect then as the minus 50% campaign army movement mod, which is a minus 50%, just a flat rate for all armies. So let's take a look at this in game then. And here we are. This is just the very beginning of a campaign. I've been testing this out with a couple of different campaigns, but I wanted to show you what happens even for relatively small armies like a beginning army. We've got one right here by Quick Headtaker. As you can see, it's only 10 units. It does have a single piece of artillery in it. And what we've got is an army weight of 12. And we've got the campaign movement range of minus 3%. So what I like about it is going to provide a negative. And that was kind of my concern with the Hertz, is that, I went into a long spiel about why I felt like you don't want to have cavalry armies that are flying all over the map, partly from a playability standpoint, because I feel like armies in this game can move too far in a single turn anyway, and then when you make it even more than that because you're fielding like fielding like a cavalry army, then to me that's moving in the wrong direction. Here the same thing can happen, but it's really only going to happen for really small armies, which you're not likely to have very many of. Once you start getting reasonable size armies, you're going to start seeing the negatives, and the negatives are going to be more pronounced than what you would see in the Hertz mod, so the Hertz version of this mod. So let's really quickly here then show you, this is again, we're at minus 3% right now. I'm just going to auto-resolve this for purposes of speeding things along here. Yeah, let's go ahead and take the food, and then we'll go ahead and I'll jump forward to the next turn. Okay, so here we are at the beginning of the second turn. I went ahead and recruited in a few more units. So Queek is now up to a stack of 15. So we're getting pretty close to what you would consider to be a full stack in this game. And again, we only still have the single artillery unit, but everything else is infantry. And we're now looking at an army weight of 17 and campaign movement range minus 12%. And then right next to him here, I recruited a new lord, and this guy is of course going to have an army weight of 2, and just like it showed in the picture in that mod, you can see that his campaign campaign movement range is a plus 11%. So here we have a minus 12%. This is a plus 11%. That's a whopping total between these two armies of 23% difference in campaign movement range. And so you can already see right here the distance that we could travel with Queek in his size 15 army versus Scalpos here. He can actually reach all the way over here and can in fact lay siege to this provincial capital right here, Karak Azgal. If I can go ahead and do that, go ahead and lay siege, and we'll bring over Queek, who can just barely get over here in order to join in and reinforce this battle. So we could go ahead and fight this, obviously, if we wanted to. But anyway, I just wanted to show this off. Obviously, it will become a more pronounced difference once you see the, once you start running around with 20 stacks. But you can already see a visible, not dramatic, but a visible difference between an army weight of 2 versus an army weight of 17. And okay, anyway, I think it's pretty short and sweet. Like I said, not really a whole lot to it, just a little bit of a middle ground in between the minus 50% campaign army movement range mod that I usually recommend and the Hertz dynamic movement that I talked about in the previous video. This is one I'm going to continue to mess around with a little bit. It might still not be enough of a reduction for me, but I do know that there's a lot of people who feel like the minus 50% is a bit too heavy. So certainly, like I said, this is yet another option that we have at our disposal. So again, thank you very much to the mod author for creating this. If you do decide to try this out, please, show the mod author some love. Leave him a comment or, give him a rating or whatever. But anyway, I'll go ahead and leave it there. Let me know if you have any questions or any experience with this particular one. Thanks again for the recommendation to try this one out, and I will see you all in the next video.